never really learned about what does the digestive system play a part in brain health. And so until I got with the company that I'm with has the supplements and everything to support his body, is when I realized that, there was natural answers out there. And I was missing certain loops in there that was the key factor to heal his brain. And so with doing all the therapy, that helped tremendously.
Yeah.
You have to find those resources that you need to be able to pull out to get your child the help they need.
Hello and welcome to the Wellness Trinity podcast, where we interview top holistic experts and bring you natural solutions for modern day wellness. Let's get started with your host, Dr. Jacqueline.
This episode was brought to you by CellCore Biosciences. Creating supplements that work is what they do, and restoring hope and health is who they are. This protocol was an absolute game changer for myself and my clients too, and now I get to train practitioners to use it in their practice and ebb and flow with it accordingly. So if you want to learn more about the protocol, please visit cellcorebiosciences.com. If you are a practitioner, you can sign up for a wholesale account, and the general public, please visit thewellnesstrinity.com/CellCore Detox, and I can show you the ropes of how we can ebb and flow with this for yourself and your family.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good Friday. This is Dr. Jacqueline from the Wellness Trinity, and I have Diane here.
Hi.
Hi. So she is an emotional, but why don't you tell them what you are?
I'm a transformational life coach. And so I help people through the transition of life, of emotional support or physical support, with body, mind, and spirit health.
Awesome. So do you want to tell them about NLP? I know that's one of your specialties.
Sure. So NLP is basically being able to remap the mind on how you view your life and view your circumstances. So, like, say if you're feeling stuck in life or feeling like you just have a lot of anxiety or depression or grief or loss, or just feeling like you just need some direction in life. NLP, Neuro-Linguistic programming, is what readjusts so that you can have optimal mind health.
Okay, great. So how did you get into this?
Well, it started years ago when my son was diagnosed with autism. And so I was on a mission to help him in whatever I could do, because I knew that his life was not about the way it was just, this is what we got and this is what we're going to deal with. And so I knew that there was something bigger and greater for him that he was designed to do in his life. And so, I did all the speech therapy, occupational therapy, horse therapy, integration. I did so many different things, and I never really learned about what does the digestive system play a part in brain health. And so until I got with the company that I'm with has the supplements and everything to support his body, is when I realized that, there was natural answers out there. And I was missing certain loops in there that was the key factor to heal his brain. And so with doing all the therapy, that helped tremendously.
Yeah.
You have to find those resources that you need to be able to pull out to get your child the help they need. And so as I was on this mission to really make him better, I started learning more about the digestive system and how the digestive system is your first brain. And if you have gut health, will equal brain health.
Yes, yeah.
And so I started targeting his digestive system. And when I started to do that, I started to notice that he was starting to change and started to feel different. And as I'm helping him, I'm noticing, wow, I'm feeling different too.
Yeah.
And so that kind of led me on that mission to be able to get his body strong and get his body healthy in order for him to be able to think better.
Yeah.
And so when I was able to do that, then I was able to change those cells and correct them so that he could heal.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for sharing your story. I know that's not easy having a child that has autism, or even for some people that have just found out that you have a child that is autistic. Sometimes it can be devastating, and the confusion around what am I going to do with this child for the rest of my life. And it's not to say you don't love your child, but it seems like things can be much harder when the child's autistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, you just don't ever stop there.
Right.
That's why I was like, okay, wait, what other tools can I learn to really help him and other people with, body and mind and spirit health.
Yeah.
And so being able to support the body and support the mind, that's what led me to NLP and EFT and Reiki, and being able to have the body, mind, and spirit health.
Yeah.
To have it connect all together.
Yeah, because you're really looking at the whole package here.
Right.
And that's what I love about her is what I look at too is we're trying to figure out where are people off in their mind and their body and their spirit. Now she's going to be more specialized in certain areas. I'm going to be specialized in certain areas, and every practitioner has kind of their niche of what they're really good at finding that root that's off. And so for her, NLP again is you explain that again for anyone that might be new and coming in.
Yeah, so NLP is really getting the mind, your unconscious mind, to make sense of your conscious mind. So your unconscious mind always knows what's going on. You could scan something and you think your conscious mind is like, I don't really remember that, but your unconscious mind remembers everything. And so what we find is that normally like trauma happens before the age of 7. So if you can imagine what your blueprint has been throughout your life as before the age of 7 and go back and repair that and fix that. So what I think is so beautiful about it also is that you can go back even before the age of 7, but sometimes it might even take you back even further. And so you'll find that maybe your mom or your dad or your grandparents, those are the ones that you got blueprinted way back then, and all of a sudden it's showing up in your life now, and you're like, why is that happening? Why am I experiencing these things when in reality it was a blueprint that happened to you long time ago? And so what I do is I help you to heal yourself, but you're also healing generations.
Yeah, that's
and
incredible.
So when you go back to generations and you heal them, you're actually giving them the gift of life by being able to help heal them on their emotional issues that they're going through, and taking it to forward where you are now in your life and being able to heal all those generations and heal yourself in the same process.
Wow, that's amazing. So what does it look like when you do an NLP session?
So NLP sessions, there's so many different techniques that you could use. So when I'm meeting with my clients, I'm addressing what are those major concerns that they're coming to me. And I'm an intuitive healer also, so I pick up on energy, I pick up on the body language, the emotional connection, everything that's around that person to figure out what are they saying that sometimes they're not saying.
Right, yeah.
And so by doing so, I'm sitting there going, okay, wait, they might be suffering from, anxiety, but when you look at it, anxiety and depression are sisters. So you have to address them both. And normally when you address one, the other one starts to go away.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of doing an intake and figuring out exactly why are they coming to see me, what is it that they want to work on, and then addressing those on certain techniques. There's so many different techniques that you can do depending on the situation. So you can look at timelines, you can look at, swish effects, you can look at things that maybe are bothering you so much that you're like, man, I just can't get that thought or that feeling out of my mind. And there's a way to be able to have it just disappear. Like it goes and goes and goes, and it's totally gone. So it just depends on the technique and what that person actually needs.
Okay. So you're looking at their whole lifestyle and everything that they put on their intake forms in terms of their symptoms as well, and what their goals are probably to achieve with you.
Right.
And then based on that, then you have a whole bucket of different tools that you can use.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I never really looked into NLP too much. I've heard great things about it. Actually, I've heard really good things about it. But I didn't realize there was so many different things that they're looking at. But that makes sense. It's like, even when people come to me, they might come with XYZ challenges, but I'm like, okay, well, I've seen this, this, and this, and these are the types of things that you're going to need for in terms of supplementation, or how you should tweak your diet or whatnot. And it can look a little bit different for everybody.
Correct. Yeah. And it's, and everybody is so different with their situation. So you really have to treat that person as a whole instead of looking at it saying, well, they have, maybe this is going on, but really I like to go to the root cause.
Right.
So I sit there and they say, well, I've been suffering with, whatever it is, if it's anxious feelings for such a long time. And I sit there and I go, okay, well, when did that show up?
Right.
Or what triggered that right before that? Or how is this impacting your life now?
Right.
What can we do that is going to get to the root cause of it? And so I get to all the way to the root cause of it, and then that's when the healing really begins.
Oh, for sure. And I believe that is on any level of healing, whether it's mental, spiritual, emotional, physical. We have to get to the root. The people that actually had a client earlier kept asking me, why do you call your business the Wellness Trinity? Well, first of all, my husband came up with that name, which I thought that was very intuitive with him, and it just stuck, and I really liked it. But basically, we have to look at all those pieces and figure out where's the disconnect. So for me, what I'm seeing is toxins and infections and things manifesting physically, but there could be an emotional root. And so this is why I like to educate you guys on and allow you guys to meet people like Diane, who are an expert at working at things that are affecting our mind and what we're feeding it, and maybe even stuff that we were just passed down from generations, because certain supplements might be able to deal with that, but there could be other roots that we're just not dealing with in here. And now if someone's mind is off, then it could be manifesting in more of a health challenge as well too.
Yes, for sure. Because when you really look at why so many people have diseases, is you look at, okay, you have part of it that people say, well, it's a generation. My mom had it, or my dad had it, or whatever. And that's where I look at it and say, well, could that possibly be a blueprint of that emotion that got passed down? And so do you really have that disease? You probably have it now, but how can we make it so that you can function better? How could you do better? How can you heal your body naturally on its own with whatever it is, if it's nutrition, if it's mind health, if it's spiritual health. That's why, I do Reiki and do energy work also, because you really want to be able to have body, mind, and spirit health.
Yeah. Well, and again, if you're not getting to the root, and if the problem is a spiritual and emotional root, and we're just looking at all the physical things and thinking that diet is all the answer, then we're gonna miss the boat. And so I have a lot of people actually even doing this type of doing types of mental, emotional, spiritual work already, and still finding that they're having a hard time with certain emotions like joy. Like more people might want to have joy. And on the other side of it, so they might be doing some type of work like this, but if they don't do a detox program like what I'm talking about and move out big long parasites and random things that are living in their body, then you better bet that they're gonna be suppressed in even things like joy. So it's pretty incredible how the whole picture ties together.
Yeah, for sure. And it's amazing when we were talking before about the parasites and how they can just to get rid of them is so important.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize how much toxins they really have in their body. And if they really took a look at what do they put in their body, and what are they exposed to, they would realize that, hey, maybe I need some help in certain areas to be able to flush things out.
Yeah, well, because we just get backed up otherwise. And I'm sure even even with emotional healing, I'm sure we get backed up with negative thoughts and emotions as well too, as if we're not dealing with it. I've been talking about lately that there's actually I use these things called Bach flowers. I'll pull out. I've been talking about lately. Here it is. So I had a hard time. A friend kind of hurt my feelings and just doing my emotional and spiritual work, but I still knew there was something physical going on of reacting to it, and it was really hard for me to let go. Hi, Felipa. And let's see who else just came on too. Let's see, who are you? Hi, Mark. So anyway, so I ended up using this Bach flower called Willow. And the thing with resentment and unforgiveness, if we don't deal with that, we can actually have more liver and gallbladder challenges. So Willow is going to be a lot of your best friends for those of you guys having a hard time forgiving. I customize those Bach flower remedies. You said you've never used them, right?
I haven't used Bach flower.
Oh, okay. But you use the essential oils.
I use essential oils for supporting the body. Yes.
Okay. So have you used them also for emotional healing too?
I have. One of the main ones that I really like is Bergamot. Bergamot is a beautiful oil that, you apply to your heart, you can apply to your solar plex. When you apply it, it just kind of lifts your vibrations and you just feel better, feel different. Same thing with like wild orange.
Yeah.
Wild orange around the heart, diffuse it, inhale it. There's so many different ways that you can use the essential oils, and that's why I like to educate people on the essential oils and the core products that we have. Because there's ways that, if somebody says I have, discomfort here, or, my head hurts or my back hurts, whatever, it's getting to that issue. Like, the oils are going to be amazing. I also like to just go deeper and say, okay, well, how long has that been going on?
Right.
Because sometimes what I have found through many years is that people say, well, I've been suffering from whatever it was for so long, and really they're like, people are like, okay, well, do this oil or do that oil or do this, and then they go, well, I'm not getting the results that I'm looking for. And so when I come in, I sit there and I say, okay, how long has this been going on? What kind of pain is this, or what kind of discomfort is this, or whatever the issue is, how long has this been going on? And then all of a sudden we get to the root and I'm like, okay, I know which oil would work or what product would use, or, do we need healing, NLP, Reiki, hypnotherapy? What do we want? And that kind of opens up those doors. So I think the main thing is you got to ask more questions.
Right. Yeah.
You not just surface of, of something going on. You got a question?
That's my client. So hi, Dr. Jacqueline, you're the best, and blessings in our lives. I love you too, Felipa. You're amazing as well. Thank you for following through with everything that we talk about here. So so it really is. It's just kind of like a tool man with their tool bucket, and okay, we need this thing. We're not going to put I don't know tools, so I guess I wouldn't be the best person. That wouldn't be the best example for me, but we wouldn't use the wrong tool in the wrong place, right?
Right.
So do you have an example when you found that a client that needed Reiki and how that looked like, and when something was manifesting and how that helped them?
Well, I would say when you do energy work and you do Reiki, specifically Reiki that I do, balancing the chakras is really important. And getting those aligned, and what you're doing is you're charging them up again. So people might come to me and say, I'm tired, I just don't feel well, or I feel like I'm just out of energy. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see which chakra might be out of alignment, or you might have them all out. And you might just feel a little off, or you might feel like you're really not grounded and strong. And sometimes it's grounding them to the earth, because there's some people that are just maybe just go through life and just kind of, whatever, and they're kind of off balance. And what Reiki does is it gets you balanced. It gets you strong. It gets you centered to the earth again. And then it recharges all of those chakras so that you have more energy, you feel better, you just all around the whole package of just doing better. Optimal health.
Okay, yeah. So, well, first of all, I want to say hi, Sandra. So, okay, so it sounds like it's a lot like grounding. Like if I put my feet in the earth, how would that be different than doing?
Well, you have to be able to bring in universal energy. Okay, so the universe, we want to bring in, what I always do is put your hands up and you imagine the light of the universal energy coming down through the crown chakra as it grounds you to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're rubbing your feet on the sand or whatever, you're getting some type of grounding, but what about all your other chakras?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so you might be getting grounded to the earth, but what about the charging of your chakras? You know, getting that energy, feeling better, sleeping better. All of those things are the whole package.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, awesome. So do you have any other examples of like clients maybe that, let's say once you got to the root, they needed NLP,
Mm-hmm.
and how maybe a good success story of how that helped them?
Well, most of my clients, when they come to see me, they're looking for some type of improvement in their life. And so depending on the tool in the toolbox of what we're using, you know, I'm guided to be able to figure out, okay, what's going to be the best avenue for them. So by the time they leave, they're like, wow, I feel so much better, or I feel lighter. I don't feel like the stress and the pressure of just everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're able to walk away being able to have tools for themselves to be able to help continue this healing process for themselves. So it's kind of like a homework assignment.
Oh, okay.
It's not like, okay, I'm going to fix you. It's like, let me give you some tools to be able for you to continue on.
Okay. So it's almost like counseling at the same time too.
Yeah, I don't have a counseling degree, but it's more of like a coaching, a life coaching.
Yeah, I guess right, coaching.
You know, so I'm able to walk them through it, and some people just need somebody to talk to.
Right, yeah.
And so, you know, being able to talk about what that situation is going on in their life, and then having a tool to be able to fix that, and for us to walk through a technique to be able to feel better, and then me giving them tools to be able to say, okay, this is some other things that you could be doing, makes a huge difference. Because when you are sitting there wanting help for yourself, you need to be able to know, like, okay, I can leave and I can still do this part of things to be able to heal.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like that onion. Have you ever heard about the onion? It gets so tight with emotions, and it's just tighter and tighter, and then when you let part of that emotion go, you're like, whoa, okay.
Right.
You know, like something's coming up.
Yeah.
And then when you start working more on the emotion, the onion just starts releasing more and releasing more.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to that part that's so tight in there, you're able to really heal yourself.
Right. That almost, the way you explain that, it sounds like emotional constipation. Really, like you're just so bottled up with a bunch of stuff that it's like once you start getting it out, it's like, oh my God, I'm relieved.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure you probably have a lot of clients that come to you and have that feeling of like, oh, this is so relieving.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Hi, Erin.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions? Just post it in the comments and we'll ask her. She's really good with working on people's emotions, and I help people detox their body, and it totally all goes all connected. So healthier gut equals healthier brain, and that's kind of what we're trying to tie the whole picture today too. So we chatted a little bit about autism already, and on a physical level with autism, there's so many toxins and stuff in the environment, like what she was saying. Then you got these vaccines and other ways that we're being exposed to things like mercury, which are ruining our thyroid health and our mental health. And a lot of kids are just being born already not with a bad start. And some of them have an okay start and then are exposed to just dumped with all types of chemicals and toxins after that. And then they start to develop symptoms of autism. Now, was your child born autistic, or did that happen after vaccines?
Well,
or?
he's a twin.
Okay.
And so he was the smaller twin. And so when he was born, he wasn't breathing. They had to revive him.
Okay.
And so he had a very traumatic birth, as it was.
Wow.
So they had to turn him and get him to come out head first, and then they vacuumed him out.
Wow.
So there was a lot of trauma to the brain. There was a lot of trauma to just the body in general.
Yeah.
Because it was just, when you're getting vacuumed like that, and then reviving on top of it. So he couldn't hold down any food. I would try to feed him and it would just shoot across the room. I kept saying, something's not right. And doctors back then, they were just kind of like, well, he's still young, he'll grow out of this or whatever. And so as a concerned parent, I kept saying, something's not right. He's not holding his food down. He's not, being able to crawl and walk and talk like all the other kids. And, they normally don't diagnose that until they start school, because that's when they can sit there and they can look at it and say, okay, wait, maybe he is behind. And so he didn't really get his diagnosis until he was probably 6 years old. And so by the time 6 came, I kept getting him occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, all of those things, those tools that he needed. It just wasn't enough though. And that's where, I was so against, medicating him, because I wanted to have my child.
Right.
I wanted to be able to see what would work. And so it wasn't later on in life until about 6 is when they were like, okay, wait, we have some issues here.
Yeah.
And but my kid now, he's 24 and he's amazing. He doesn't have the autistic tendencies. He doesn't rock. He doesn't flap. He doesn't bang himself in the walls anymore. He's a totally different child, and he just doesn't have the autistic tendencies anymore.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Another thing in relation to gut health is a lot of times the autistic kids have a lot of parasites.
Yeah.
And I see parasites in pretty much everybody, and it doesn't matter how old or young, or if they're in Africa or if they're here. So it's just crazy how much of an epidemic this is, and it's being missed. I don't even like the word diagnose. We don't diagnose here, but it's not found or not being looked for, especially with kids that have autism. It's something that it should really be looked for. Now we have Erin that mentioned gut health and enzymes. Speaking of enzymes, these are my favorite ones all time. And my clients, anyone that's on here that's my client, if you want to put a thumbs up and agree with that, then you can go ahead and do that. But these enzymes are very powerful. They're really strong, and you get the most bang for your buck. So that's a big reason why I like them. They're a really good company. And I have been hooked on them ever since I started. So that's another way we have to digest our food well. If we have any challenges with our brain, you better bet there's probably some leaky gut going on there. Or pretty much, I could probably almost say 100% leaky gut. Because if the food is not digested all the way, or if we have infections, it just pokes holes in the gut, and then it gets into the bloodstream. And then when we do a live blood analysis, then we can actually see all these undigested food particles like cholesterol crystals, or even we'll see signs of fungus and candida, which that's just something that sugar feeds. So yeah, so we have a thank you for sharing your story. No, really, it is a blessing for people like you to share your story, because there's just so many people out there that are suffering with this and have no idea that there might be some answers out there. So
I think I find too, though, that parents, being a mother with a child with special needs, we forget to take care of ourselves.
Oh yeah.
And so I set out on a mission to instill hope to parents with children with special needs. There is natural answers out there, and there's hope and there's help for them, and you just never give up.
Right, yeah.
And you find out what is the root cause of this. And of course, getting the treatment early is very important. And, I targeted my son's gut, and I was like, if he could have as many bowel movements as possible, we're good.
Yeah.
because you want to clean it out. You want to be able to get rid of the toxins in the body. And, you know, and I think it's just really important to remember that, you know, it's not our fault.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
as parents, we sit there and we're like, what did I do wrong? What could I have done?
Yeah.
Did I do that? It has nothing to do with what you did wrong. It's just there's answers that are within that
Right.
body that need to be healed.
Yeah.
And so there are answers, and it's just people need to know that you're not alone in this world. There's kids that are sick, and we can help them.
Yeah. 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 Well, you know, there's definitely other things, like a lot of, no matter what you're dealing with, whether it's autism or a child with autism or it's a health challenge, there is a root. And if I don't know it when I'm with a client, then I am on a mission to try to figure that out. Or if it's a loved one, then you better bet I'm gonna be flipping through the books, calling my friends in the field and trying to find the answer, because I really do believe that we have a God that loves us and would not be letting us hanging if give us answers. Even in the Bible, it talks about in the beginning of time how we were put in a garden. And I think that we forget that sometimes when we're trying to go about trying to heal our body. So, yeah, so, you know, and then you talked about being a parent and some of the guilt that might come along with it, maybe the child not doing as well. And again, whether it's autism or maybe the child's not performing as well in school, ADHD, or their behavior is off. Sometimes I think that it could be easy to take on that guilt. Now, I don't have children myself, but I can imagine. I already feel like I'm a parent. I've been already thinking about how I would feel. Even if for some reason we did feed our children badly, or we did vaccinate them, or we did do something that might have caused a problem, I don't think that you know, we should be carrying that guilt, like you mentioned. We need to forgive ourselves as well, and that's also healing in itself for others, realizing like, okay, I'm not perfect, and maybe I made a mistake, but I'm forgiven, and it's okay. And now we just have to deal with the situation on hand, versus sitting there in condemnation. That's not healthy either. And guilt, I'm not really sure what organ is held with guilt. I'll have to look that up. But each organ in our body holds different emotions. So in the beginning, I had mentioned about forgiveness and holding in resentment, how that affects our gallbladder. And then Willow has been one of my favorites recently. Bach flower, and she uses her own essential oils, but those are Bach flowers I use to help balance people's emotions, and it's incredible. So why don't we shift a little to anxiety? So I'm sure you dealt with some people with anxiety, or even being a mom with an autistic child, I'm sure there's some anxiety around that as well.
Well, you know, when I look at like my life, you know, I had a lot of anxiety growing up. And, you know, you get anxiety also when, you know, it's just, sometimes you just feel like, gosh, is this just normal? You know, does everybody feel this way? You know, everybody must, because I feel it, you know. And, you know, for me, it's being able to stabilize my gut and being able to use the essential oils to be able to help with that. You know, I think too that for so many years, you know, you look at life and it's maybe doesn't go exactly the way that you planned. And so what it does is sometimes it creates disease, right?
Right.
And so for me, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia about 11 years ago. And I was like, and I got a special needs son, and then he got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And I was like, okay, this is a joke. You know, this is a joke, because this can't be happening. And so I had to figure out, well, how am I going to be the best me? And by doing so, it was working on me, taking time for meditation. So everything that I teach my clients, I do myself.
Right.
Because there's always times that you have to be able to heal yourself.
Right.
There's things that people might say or do, or you sit there and you said something, you're like, man, I shouldn't have said that, or whatever. and you hold on to that. You have to be able to heal all the time and forgive yourself for what's in the past. And I have been able to heal myself from fibromyalgia. And I don't know if there's, I would love to be able to show people and express to them, how can you heal too? And in the energy world of it, when you really look at it, fibromyalgia is one of those energies, is you are a gifted healer. And because you are a gifted healer, you are not allowing yourself to be able to share those gifts with others. And so what happens is you start crippling yourself. So when you start working on yourself and allow your gifts to be given to other people, you will find you can start healing yourself.
Yeah, I totally believe that too, that we all have a purpose and we all have a calling, and when we suppress that, I do totally believe it's related to some of our health issues as well. And even on the level of not making the right decisions with what we're eating or how we're taking care of ourselves. When we have something that we're living for that's higher than ourselves, then we're, whether it's, let's say, kids, a mother that loves her family. Well, maybe now they're more encouraged because, we have these little babies we got to look after now. Or, me, I just had this big passion and calling to just help people get healthy so that they can live their purpose out in life. And, that's what gets me going every day. And I know that if I don't take care of myself, if I don't go to the gym, if I don't, do my mental work, my spiritual work, that I'm not going to be the best me, so that I can't pour out in others. And I think part of that is even realizing that those things make a difference and how much we can be effective with other people too. I do have that conversation sometimes with people where they don't realize how much them being happy and whole and healthy is going to make them a better version for their family or for their business or for whatever it is that they're living for.
Right.
So
I think it's important to take time for yourself and to really take in that understanding that you have to take care of you so that you can take care of other people.
Yeah.
And there's answers out there, there's natural answers out there, and you just do whatever you can to take care of your body, mind, and spirit.
Right.
And you can move through this life and being able to sit there and go, okay, I learned the tweaks that I needed on this earth. I learned them for me. And then you can help other people.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and so even on a physical level, there's so much that we can do. Let's say the problem really is a physical root that needs to be what's the word I'm looking for? Addressed. We can use things like, I'll pull out a couple of my tools here. So CBD oil, this is such a big thing that's on the market nowadays. People are talking about it. I finally started carrying it, and after I did my research about why it's really good for you and what it does. So at the core, it's helping to get rid of fungus and viruses and what else is it? Heavy metals. So these are a lot of the toxins and infections that I'm seeing in people. And then on top of that, we have this whole endocannabinoid system in our body that the CBD fits in, and if that's not healthy, we're not going to be healthy. So I will tell you a story. I had a client that for a month, he was just anxiety, just to the root, and he didn't know what to do. He was just thrown off. Now, mind you, he did have some life stress. I'm not going to deny that, and we did talk about that. But he came in here, and I was moving my office, so I wasn't able to get in right away. Get him in right away, I should say. And he was like, "Is there anything I can do today?" And mind you, I was going to see him tomorrow, but he was just feeling so awful that he couldn't wait. So I was like, "Well, you could come and get some CBD oil." And so I'm thinking, like, I really hope this works. Like, I know it should, but until you have stories, sometimes it's like, I'm sure you go through it too, right? Like, I have all these tools, theoretically they work, or you have all these testing things, and theoretically, hopefully it should be right. But after you go along and you work with people, you start to realize, like, wow, this stuff is really, it's gold. Like, people don't even realize I'm gold in their hands. So anyway, this guy, he came in, he gets a bottle of CBD oil. And in this one, not all CBD oil was good. I had someone asking me on Facebook yesterday or 2 days ago. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind and catching up with y'all. But they were asking me what's a good source of it. So I'll get to that in a second. But he came in, he takes 3 drops of this, and he was totally fine. Just 3 drops. And so he comes back the next day, and he ended up wanting to get another bottle. He's like, I'm gonna keep one in my pocket. I'm gonna keep one at home. I'm always gonna have this. I am not going to be anxious like this again. and I'm sure he's probably sharing it with some people too. Anyway, I haven't seen the guy since. He came back one time for health coaching, but and I know he wants to work on himself more. But all that to say is, I mean, when we get imbalanced in any way, and it can even be our endocannabinoid system, we can have things like anxiety. And the other thing with anxiety is if certain types of nutrients are off too, like a lot of people are very deficient in magnesium, and we're not eating enough greens, or if we are, it's just not in our food. So we need to do things like green juices. All my clients will not hear the last of the green juices from me. That and the enemas. Some of the other stuff sometimes I give up, but the enemas and the green juice, it just is. People just are such a different person when they have it. So anyway, so those things, even just having enough magnesium, and people sleep better, and if you sleep better, you're pretty less anxious. And just magnesium is a very calming mineral, so it's calm the person down. So this is the one that I like from Food Research. So it's made from food, and you can see in the background that it's from food versus a synthetic form. I'm not a fan of vitamins and minerals that are synthetic because, well, I don't know, we're supposed to eat food, so that makes sense to me. But anyways, do you have anything else related to anxiety that you want to mention?
Well, the essential oil that I use for some of my clients is copaiba.
Oh, okay, that's like CBD, right?
It's what they call is similar, but it works on the CB1 and CB2 receptors in the brain. And so, like with clients that I work with that have PTSD, there was a lady that came to see me, and she was on all these medications. She was a vet, and she was just like, I'm still nervous. I just don't know, like. And so she put a drop of copaiba in her hand, she put it on the back of her neck, she put it on her heart, and inhaled. Within seconds, she just calmed right down. She goes, this is the first I've ever, like, really relaxed.
Wow.
And it was just amazing to see how quickly you can get the results that you need.
Right.
And for her to be able to live life.
Right,
you know, really to empower herself and say, okay, I can live better now. I can get out there. She was like, she didn't even want to like be around people. But just those drops and inhaling like that, she just calmed down right away. And it was just like, wow. Yeah. When you see stuff like that right before your eyes, you're like, ooh, okay, that does work. You know? Right.
Yeah, and you know, when we just have this healing tendency inside of us, it's like, you live for that. Like I could tell she's like, we just live to hear the story. So if you guys have any stories, please list them down below, because you know that's why we do this. Like, I'm sure she sacrificed a lot to be where she's at, and I mean I literally gave up my whole life and thousands of dollars and years of my life trying to, even a car. I sold my car. Oh, wow. I have a car for a few. I was riding a bike. Do you guys remember when I was riding a bike? In my 20s, I didn't have a car. But anyway, that's because I love you guys, and I want to see people get well, and you know, when we get those stories, it's incredible. And so Sandra says she loves copaiba too, so she also uses the essential oils too.
Oh, good. Wonderful.
So do you, now I know that with you, you're looking for the root, and that could determine the tool you use. But let's say someone comes to you, I don't know if this is a simple answer, aside from copaiba. Is there some other tool like that you might use that is something for anxiety?
There's times when I'll use EFT, it's the emotion freedom therapy, and basically it's tapping. So it just really depends on the person.
Right.
So it could be EFT, it could be the essential oils, it could be gut health. There's a lot of it that, I'm intuitively guided to see exactly okay, what's the full picture?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. There's so much of intuition that I'm listening to, and just, listening and trying to kind of see where the root is.
Right.
So yeah.
So it just really depends on which type of therapy is going to be the best for that person. And maybe they want a combination.
Yeah.
We might be looking at it and saying, okay, let's go down this route. And then it's like, oh wait, we need to address this first before we can really get to this one.
Right, yeah.
So, my clients, it just really depends on, what they're coming to me for and what's going to be the best avenue for them.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. Do you want to let them know? I had it in the notes, but do you want to let them know where we can find you?
Yeah, you can go to my website, and my contact information is there. It's www.supportahealthieryou.com, and you can click on the services that I offer and reach out to me.
Do you also do distant consultations or work with people abroad as well, or do they have to be here in Las Vegas?
I can work with people abroad also.
Okay, great. So for all you guys that are not here in Las Vegas, you guys can definitely have a conversation.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you again, Diane, for coming here, and that was such a fun conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
My Super Immunity Boost Juice Guide is now available on thewellnesstrinity.com. You'll learn how to grow broccoli microgreens, the ingredients I put in my green juice, and super nutritious supplements you can add to enhance your immune system. Again, go to thewellnesstrinity.com and you'll receive your free Super Immunity Boost Juice Guide.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Trinity podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more wellness tips to help you achieve optimal health. Don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.